All right, this is such an easy project. I thrifted this sign, painted it in my favorite black chalk paint that you can get at the Dollar General. This mesh stencil came on, I got it on Amazon, and it came in a pack of all kinds of Christmas stencils and color paints and this little squeegee. And so I'm just using a craft stick to place my paint onto my squeegee and then just start to press the paint into the stencil. This is so much fun. I think there's something therapeutic about using these stencils that I really enjoy. So I'll make sure to put a link down below. I have a few others that I used for Halloween, and they clean up real easy. Just put them in the sink with running water and just use your hand to just kind of rinse off the paint and then let it dry for a little bit and then just put it right back onto that transfer sheet. And that's it. Super fun. The squeegee doesn't fit into the paint bottle. That's why I'm using the craft stick. But I just do one coat, and while it's still wet, I'm going to pull the sheet back. I added a hanger using some jute twine, and that is it. Super fun and easy. I hung mine right above my craft table, and I think it turned out so adorable. It's simple, fun, and festive, and such a cute touch for the holiday season. All right, this video is part of our monthly What Would You Make collaboration, and it's hosted every month by Brenda from Rustic and Lace and Christine from Divine Designs. And our guest host this month is Alicia from Lavender and Lace. Please check out all these incredible ladies. I just love being a part of this challenge every month, and I'll be sure to have them linked down below and the playlist. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, we're going to start with this sign that I thrifted at Goodwill, and it had a big pumpkin on it, so I just pulled that off and used a little spackle to fill in these holes. I let it dry, and I prepped my surface just to make sure I didn't have any bleed through and to give my paint a nice base to stick to. And this is Paint Couture's 2-in-1 Premium Primer in the color white. Let it set for about 24 hours. Then I painted the entire thing with the color Plaster by Waverly, and I did one good heavy coat and let that dry for about 12 hours. Then I added a second coat, and this second coat is for this beautiful paint inlay that I'm going to use. This is IOD's release this Christmas, and I set that inlay right into my wet paint. I gave it a light spritz of water and used a soft cloth to press it in. I really tried to smooth everything out, but you'll see in the end that I had a few wrinkles that snuck in. And when you set an inlay into paint like this, some of that paint transfers onto the sheet itself. So when you reuse your inlay, that leftover paint will also transfer onto your next project. Just keep that in mind. Looking back, I kind of wished that I used like liquid patina or extreme guard and satin instead of wet paint like this one, but I'm always trying to use different methods so it doesn't feel like the same old thing every week. Pressing that inlay really well is key though. And I'm going to let mine dry for about I want to say it dried for about 4 hours because every time I kept checking it, it wasn't dry, especially like in the center around Santa's mouth. It stayed wet and it wasn't fully drying. So once it was dry, I spritz it with some more water and gave it a good 30 seconds to a minute before pulling back my inlay. But one thing to keep in mind is when you pull back your inlay, if you feel any resistance, stop. Give it another spritz, let it sit for another minute, and then try again. That's exactly what I did. You really want to take your time. If you keep pulling while it's resisting, you'll pull your paint and ruin your inlay. Don't ask me how I know, okay, because it's happened. So as you can see here, I'm pulling back, and I don't know why I do this every time, especially with the inlay, but my brain tells me when my image isn't transferring over to set my inlay back down, and that is going to just automatically transfer over. It doesn't. It does not transfer over, guys. I'm letting you know right now. But look at how beautiful this is. And you can see like all the imperfections. I have a hard time with those imperfections, guys. As much as I love vintage, I have issues. I expect it to transfer over beautifully. And I watch other creators and theirs do. And I look at mine and I'm like, why? Why? Like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm here to inspire you, not to make you feel bad about doing a project like this. But prepping is key. Smoothing out your image is very important, okay? And even though I do all the things, I still have imperfections, and I started using inlays about 8 months ago. My friend Kendra sent me some, and I absolutely fell in love with them. But it does take patience and practice, and things do get better and better. All in all, I really like how it came out. I took it outside, gave it a spray with some matte sealer, and at some point I framed in with white just to kind of offset the background from the frame. Let me know what you think of this one. I thrifted this sign at Goodwill, and even though it's fun and festive, just the way it is, I'm going to redo it with this basil milk paint by Sweet Pickins, and I'm going to mix equal parts. So I'm doing 2 tablespoons of milk paint to 2 tablespoons of water, and I'm going to mix it really good. Now, if you haven't used milk paint, it's a lot of fun. And if you like vintage crackle, it's good for that. However, this one, I'm not going down the crackle road. I'm just going to keep it simple. And so as you could see, there was a little bit of water that spilled on my board. Not worried about it. We're just going to paint over it. And I do 2 coats of this milk paint, kind of like back to back. I mean, I don't let it dry fully, and I just keep going over it. Milk paint's fun like that. You can just keep layering it. And then this paper came in my Sonnets Makers box. I'm using my water pen to get that organic look and, make it look all old, but without the crackle. So I want that image to pop. I don't want it to get lost in the milk paint. So I'm adding a little bit of the color Parchment. This is also from my box this month. It's Fusion's color Parchment. And I just do 1 coat, and then we're going to decoupage my napkin right on top of the white. And it's okay if a little bit of the white shows on the sides. I think that just adds to kind of like, I don't know, framing it in look. I like that look. And so for this one, I'm using a little Mod Podge in my fan brush. And I'm going to add a little spritz of water to help that paper kind of stretch and get rid of all the wrinkles and the bubbles. This is Roy cycled. I have trouble getting that word out. I don't know why. Roy cycled paper, and it's a very strong, durable paper, and it adheres well and it stretches well. It's a lot of fun to work with. So I realized I put my image on upside down. I have a thing for putting things upside down. And so I just moved my hangers, and then I had these in my stash. I casted a bunch of designs from IOD's molds, and I think the ornaments are from Redesign, can't remember. And I just cut the little hanger off and used some light brown sugar glaze by Paint Couture, and I just made sure to get it in all the low points and wipe back as much as I wanted to get that vintage look. And then I'm going to take, well, once I figure out placement, I'm going to take some super glue gel and a little hot glue and adhere them to my sign. Off camera though, I don't know if you could tell by looking at my sign, but I sealed in everything with some polyacrylic. And I'm sorry I didn't show that part, but I just wanted to make sure that I sealed in my milk paint good and my decoupage paper, because if you get milk paint wet, you're going to reactivate it and you're going to ruin your whole project. And I'm just afraid that I'm going to forget important steps like that. So once I have that in my vision, I'm like, okay, I got to get that done. And sometimes I just forget to hit record. However, no biggie. And this sits overnight because I want to make sure that, everything's adhered very well. And I wanted to bring back some of those high points. So I'm just lightly brushing on some bronze metallic paint and just carefully wiping back just a little bit. And then that wasn't quite enough gold. So I'm going to go in with some rub and buff in the color gold. I'm using my finger to apply it. I don't know why, but I feel like I have more control over how much I'm adding. So that just seems to work for me. Just do what works for you. And I'm also adding some to my bells. However, I do need to use an artist brush for this because my fingers just can't get into all those little areas. And adding a little bit more to my castings. And don't forget to check out the playlist when you're done here. That is it for this one. It's super simple and elegant, and I just love how this one turned out. I really enjoy working with milk paint, and sometimes keeping things simple still gives you that beautiful vintage look without needing crackle. Between the castings and the paper, I feel like I really achieved the look that I was going for. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. And until the next one, bye.